Whether you're a writer or a story editor, you must understand why the story arc is important and how to check if a story is following this time-proven form. I have to confess, I love the story arc. It fascinates me that something can work for the human brain since stories were first told, since before anyone knew what a story arc was. The story arc is made up of 5 important scenes. These are the inciting incident, plot point 1, the middle, plot point 2, and the climax. For the story to be powerful, these scenes must appear in the right place of a story. If the inciting incident comes too late, the reader will get bored. If plot point 1 is too close to the middle, the story will feel rushed. If the climax is too late, the resolution won't satisfy the reader. These are all bad things. Monsters are also bad, so let's do some time traveling and look at 2 monster stories. One ancient, the other modern. One an epic poem, the other a novel. Both hugely successful. Before we do that, let's go way back into the past, all the way to circa 750 to 700 BC, where it is believed Beowulf was written. It's an epic poem with 2,669 lines. I used the translation of J.R.R. Tolkien, edited by his son Christopher Tolkien, and published by HarperCollins in 2016, to analyze the poem from a story arc perspective. Beowulf is the oldest surviving epic in British literature. Normally I talk about novels, but novels didn't exist back then. The long form of a story was a poem, often spoken instead of read. Beowulf takes place in Denmark, where a monster terrorizes the people. Grendel is his name. Beowulf is the hero who goes on a quest to destroy Grendel. Now let's check out the Beowulf story arc scenes. The inciting incident is at line 279. This is 10% into the story. Beowulf has heard stories of a monster who walks the night. A watchman allows Beowulf to pass into the kingdom, and his ordinary life is changed. He's on his way to help King Hrothgar fight the monster. Plot point 1 occurs at line 665, which is 25% into the story. Beowulf kills the monster, Grendel. This causes Grendel's mother to seek revenge. So far, so good. The key scenes are fitting perfectly on the story arc most used today. The middle is at line 1315, which is 50% into the story. So you can probably tell I'm getting excited. I wasn't sure what the results of my analysis would be when I started on my adventure to study the story arc more deeply. At the middle, Beowulf kills Grendel's mother. This is definitely proactive. Plot point 2 is line 1958, which is 73% into the story and right within range. Beowulf learns his home is being ravaged by dragons. He's at rock bottom. He left his home to help others, and now his home is paying the price. The climax is at line 2260, which is 85% into the story. Beowulf fights the dragon, and at the end of the climax, he kills it. Beowulf has lasted through time for a reason. Now, let's time travel forward 2,700 years or so. We come to Twilight, written by Stephanie Meyer, published in 2008 by HarperCollins. I analyzed Twilight based on word count, not line count as I did with Beowulf. Twilight was extremely commercially successful. This may or may not be the genre for you, and whether or not you like the story isn't the point. The point is, a story has a better shot at being commercially successful if it follows the story arc. And you guessed it, we'll take a look at the story arc scenes for Twilight. The inciting incident is 10% into the story. Bella has already met Edward. This leads up to the inciting incident where Edward saves Bella from being killed. She gets her first glimpse of his powers and is set on her path of discovering more about him. Plot point 1 is 25% into the story. Bella suspects Edward is a vampire, but she decides to pursue him anyway. Edward has emotional power over Bella. So far, exactly where the scene should be. The middle is 50% into the story, and this is when Edward reveals his true powers as a vampire to Bella. He saves her from an attack, and this strengthens how she feels about him. Plot point 2 is 75% into the story. A bad vampire decides to go after Bella, and Bella must leave her home. Bella wants to survive, but not if it means risking those she loves. And on to the climax at 90% into the story. Bella is lured into a trap. She faces down the evil vampire and gets injured. Just like Beowulf, Twilight follows the form of the story arc. One ancient story, one modern story, one story arc form. So you be the judge if the story arc is important. But can you still write a unique story? Following the form of the story arc doesn't mean the story isn't unique. Of course it is. You're a unique person and you wrote it. No one else can write the same story. My goal is to give you the best chance of writing a story people love. Beowulf and Twilight are both about monsters, but they are very different stories. And that is my story of why the story arc is important.